This Thursday, June 1st, marks the official start of Black Music Month, and Xfinity's got everything you need to celebrate, whether you hail from the East Coast, the West Coast, the Great North, or the Dirty South. Thanks to our very own music editor, Quam. Quam, what do you got for us?
Thank you so much, David. And if you have not heard, hip-hop is turning the big 5-0. And what better way to celebrate hip-hop music than to take a walk through the history of the genre? We're going to visit different regions of hip-hop throughout the U.S., and highlight key shows and movies that can teach us a bit about the genre's history. And at the first stop, we have to stop at the Mecca, New York City. And so with that, we are looking at the movie Roxanne. And Roxanne really stands out for me because as a genre, hip-hop has historically been dominated by men, and the women of hip-hop often get overlooked and even sometimes forgotten. And this is the case, at least in my experience, for Roxanne Shante, the main protagonist of the movie Roxanne. It tells a story of Roxanne, who is credited as the first female rap star. She was so young when she was doing her thing, going up against the men. And it's a powerful biopic that just tells a story about hip-hop's origins that a lot of people do not know. So check it out. It's on Netflix, and it's a great, great watch. But now we are headed back to LA. Headed back to Cali. And there are a number of movies and shows that we could talk about, LA rappers or the West Coast rappers, but we have to talk about Straight Outta Compton, the NWA biopic. And first, I want to say that NWA is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, hip-hop group of all time. Their hip impact is still felt to this day, and their ability to use the gangster rap subgenre to detail what was life like in urban ghettos while also raising the popularity of hip-hop as an entire genre, you cannot say enough about it. And Straight Outta Compton just does an amazing job telling this story from the highs and the lows of the group. The movie just shows how difficult and really improbable it was for the group to succeed. It's a must watch again, and you can rent or buy it right now. Like, what are you waiting for? I want to pause here and ask, David, Nicole, Nikki, my friend, have y'all seen either of these movies?
You go ahead.
No,
David.
you go first.
Okay, yes. So I have seen Straight Outta Compton, loved it. I mean, you're right, Kwame. It gave me a lot of backstory to the group and just the history behind it. I am not a music person, so this is kind of my key genre, like the movies that help me understand it. But I do like the idea of Roxanne, like women in hip hop. So I might have to add that to my list for sure.
I have also seen Straight Outta Compton. The casting for that is perfect. You feel like you're watching the real people that this is based on, which I think is such a strength of the film. But I am very interested in Roxanne. This is not someone. I don't consider myself like clueless when it comes to music, but I have not heard of her. So, what else should I know?
In all fairness, I really didn't even know about her that much as well before, really doing a lot of research for partially this segment, but also just like kind of like going through hip hop history. And yeah, her impact on hip hop music for women cannot be unsaid. I mean, she has done so much in really subtle ways and ways that have honestly, again, just gone forgotten. She was huge and, as an inspiration for MC Light or, Salt and Pepper. And I think this movie just deserves a bigger spotlight because a lot of people do not, know about Roxanne Shante and her overall just impact on the genre. So yeah, definitely check these two out. Netflix and, buy it or rent it, either or. Now we are headed to the Midwest and the Dirty South. And so I first think that the Midwest as a hip hop region is really forgotten about. But a lot of influential names of hip hop come out of the region, such as Kanye West, Eminem, Common, Twista. I can keep going on, but one name that we cannot forget is Jay Dilla. And the New York Times Presents did a special episode on the legacy of Jay Dilla, which details the life of this legendary producer. I remember as a kid, I used to love looking up Jay Dilla beats, specifically his Donuts album. because I wanted to be a producer, and he's just such an inspiration. And sadly, his life was cut short due to a rare blood disease and lupus. But his legacy continues to live on. If you're in the know, and not even in the know, a lot of hip hop heads will tell you that Jay Dilla was really him. I'm him, but I'm not him. You can watch this special episode of the New York Times Present on FX. And lastly, but certainly not the least, we have to talk about the Dirty South. The South is home to a number of hip hop legends and hip hop subgenres, and it can really be argued that the South has dominated the landscape of hip hop for the past decade. However, the South had a really late start to the hip hop party, and Netflix's series Hip Hop Evolution has a great few episodes on the South's adoption of hip hop music. I honestly learned a ton of things just from a few episodes, specifically episode 4 of season 3, literally titled "The Dirty South." It walks you through how hip hop music was brought to Atlanta, which was just wild for me because today Atlanta is viewed as like the epicenter of contemporary hip hop music and rap music. But in the past, it wasn't that quick to pick up, the genre until a few key artists came out. And so Netflix's Hip Hop Evolution is full of gems. You can honestly learn all about the genre just by watching this one show. But specifically for, its history on the South and how the South has adopted hip hop and its contributions, definitely is a must watch.
That's awesome. This is very, very cool. And I feel like I can really get an education through the 4 of these. Do you have a favorite region of hip hop?
Of hip hop music?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say I have a favorite region. I mean, because especially as the internet kind of decentralized music, it's not as region specific anymore. I will say that a lot of I really don't. I have a lot of favorite rappers that either come from LA or New York. Like Jay-Z's my all-time favorite, but Kendrick Lamar is also like another all-time favorite, and they're on like opposite ends of the coast. And unfortunately, I still love Mr. Ye, and I just love trap beats. I love trap instrumentation, which is like known from Atlanta. And there's like so many other subgenres of hip hop that has come from all over the country and even all over the world. I mean, I've really gotten into UK drill and UK hip hop in the past year or so with artists like Central C, Saint, and a few others. When I was in London, I was just like able to talk to people about these like hip hop artists from London. And so I say that all to say that hip hop is global, and I cannot choose a specific region to really rep. If anything, I rep Philly hip hop.
Yeah,
shout out to Black Thought.
You made a really interesting point about like the internet
decentralizing.
Yeah. Music, because it used to be that like West Coast and East Coast had very specific sounds, and music was like distributed differently through like literal mixtapes, and so people became very territorial about their music and about their sound and about the artists that they like came from the same places that they came from, the same cities, the same neighborhoods, and it was like, so I mean that was kind of like what was happening with like the whole, all the Biggie, Tupac, all of that, like all that Puff Daddy beef. But you don't really see that as much. I mean, I guess you do to some degree, but not the way it used to be.
No, I think it's one of the things that have kind of been lost in the hip hop culture is that like, I think people still love repping where they're from, but it's not necessarily a particular like, oh, this is the East Coast, so we don't like the West Coast, or you have a lot of times where like people from different areas take sounds from other areas. And I will still say that there is, a lot of regionality still plays a role. Like if you hear a rapper from say Florida, they're going to sound totally different than a rapper say from Chicago, even if they incorporate similar music styles. I think regionality still plays a role. I just don't think people rep it as hard. So
yeah. Probably for the best.
Probably.
To some degree. Well, you can check out all the shows and movies Kwam just talked about simply by saying what to watch into your Xfinity voice remote. And Kwam, if people want to deep dive into all of your incredible stuff that you've curated around this month and hip hop and everything else, what should they say?
They can just say Black Music Month into their Xfinity voice remote.